What's up, guys? I'm gonna have a little Yap session about OP-11. Uh, just want to talk about it, like, since the format's almost over, and just have my thoughts out there, discuss some things. I'm gonna start off with this tier list here. This is what I think is the best decks in the format out of all of the, relevant decks. I feel like these are the most relevant. I may have missed some on here, but I have the big three: UP, Betty, and GP, Luffy. I think those are the best three decks in the format. Uh, they just are overall consistent and good. And Betty is like the outlier up there. I think she's just really good because she has super favorable matchup into GP and UP specifically, which I think is very interesting. I think there's a couple of tools that Yamato gets that makes her playable, but I still kind of think it's a fake deck, honestly. It's just really cheesy, in my opinion. Even though it is consistent, I feel like it's just not that great. Let's see another. I think Lucci. I see people have different opinions on Lucci. I think it's pretty good. It's just that it's kind of you gotta see it, right? Lucci, there's no searching, and the whole game is remove their board every turn. If you can't remove the board, you just lose most of the time. And it's maneuvering the game so that you can get a 10 cost Kuz on the stick, or just build a wide enough board so that they can't clear everything, so you'll always have tools to clear every turn while also poking them. It's death by a million cuts. And I think the deck just plays a lot of KO outlets and reducers that you can probably see an even amount of both and be chilling. But you do need to see 10 cost Kuzan to win certain matchups like UP. You need it for sure. And you don't really need it against GP, but having a stick means you win the game instantly because you don't have an answer to it. But yeah, that's what I think. Lucci's pretty good right now. Also just beats a lot of rogue decks in general. And then I've also been hearing that Lucci is not favored into Betty, which I think is wrong. I think Lucci's favored into Betty because all it takes is one good Lucci turn, or one good Lucci play, or you see a Brook early with some reducers, and you're kind of chilling. And then if you see Rebecca, then you're giga chilling. So I don't know. I think the matchup is favored for Lucci. Even if they see God Curve, they go second, double searcher into Ivankov Karazu, I still think you can win. You just need to see a Brook, I think. I think is an interesting pick because I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I have Purple Luffy and a tier 2 deck here. I feel it kind of faded away recently, or just in this set, but I just think ramping to an efficient body is just still really good. Ramping to play Katakuri, or ramping to play Luffy Taro into Sanji or something, your curve is just really good. 4 cost into Luffy Taro into the 9 cost Big Mom or Rush Luffy, I think is very good. Alright, that's what I have for my little tier list here. Next, I'm gonna talk about my predictions for the ban list coming out this weekend. I think, but I think for sure 9 Mom gets hit. I think that's the biggest problem with UP. because effectively it heals you back like 2 life, because you get a life and you get rid of a threat. So it's basically healing 2 life, and on average you're gonna see at least 2 during the game. So effectively your leader's like 7 life. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the main problem. If you take that away, their Sanji plays are like not as oppressive because they're not removing your board, unless like they're taking out like a Mihawk or something, right? They can take out a Mihawk, he'll get rid of something, but they're not gonna gain a life back, so you can still pressure them. Or they're bringing out like a rusher, which I think is fine, because then it becomes like this weird like ramp up to big bodies, just play them and overwhelm you like it usually did, but it would have to play faster because you can put them on more of a clock. I think that's very interesting. I think if 9 Mom gets banned, which is in my mind 100%, they'll need to hit GP as well, because with no 9 Mom, I think GP runs a little bit wild, because the only other decks that beat GP, I think Zoro has a pretty favorable matchup in the GP coming out in 12, but I'm not sure. I haven't played a ton of that matchup yet. It seems I've heard varying opinions about it being favored for either side, so I'm not sure. But I think getting rid of the stage is like a reasonable ban. Just because the stage is just to cantrip, and it just helps it in a lot of matchups against like removal in general. Like, so yellow, black, and blue, like the +2 cost just brings the Sanji Puddings and Zorojuros and Luffy Taros just out of range of like certain removal. And removing the stage just probably gives other decks better fighting chance against it. I don't think Gum Giant will be banned. Gum Giant is, I feel like, I wouldn't say a fair card, but it's definitely a very good card. But I don't think it's broken enough to deserve a ban. The decks that just can use it are efficient at using it. I think if you're using it in GP, there's like a problem about managing your Dawn, because you are going down Dawn. Like, you're only gaining 1 Dawn every turn, kind of, if you only have 1 Sanji Pudding, so you're only getting 1 Dawn back. So using Giant puts you down 2, and like it really does matter later. You really only can use it like super effectively when you have 2 Sanji Pudding, but if you're doing that, then you can't hold it up early, and GP doesn't play a ton of like counter in the deck, so you can go on down on life really easily, and maybe the time when you can hold up Giant, it's a little too late. Purple Luffy, you're ramping as well, and you're playing on curve, which means you don't really have Dawn up at any time, like early on in the turns, like when you're just ramping and playing a body out. If you're going 4, 7 into 9, assuming you played like Luffy Taro, then you're not going to have a Dawn up to play Giant unless you take a life to ramp to keep it up, which is kind of counterintuitive. But so there's that. And in UP, it is a very powerful survival tool. But if they're banning 9 Mom, then they can just keep Giant, I think. They'll probably need it. And in PB Luffy, there's also not a great time. They also like to play on curve a lot too, even when they ramp. So there's not like a great time to be holding up Giant until the late game as well. It's just a powerful late game card, and like most of these leaders are 4 life leaders, and the 5 life leader that you can use it on goes down on life itself. So you will be able to put pressure on them early. Then the Giant is like, they'll be forced to hold Giant up early, which weakens their like on curve plays. So I think it's balanced, and then you can play it in like Nico Robin, and she needs it, I think. She just needs some strong cards in the deck. They like hitting black randomly, in ban lists. But I don't think they would hit it this ban list. I would hope not. I feel like black has just been getting weaker as sets go on because they haven't really been getting a ton of stuff or generic good stuff, and other colors have been getting protection from removal, so there's been counterplay to it. But if I were to ban a card from black or predict them banning a card from black, it'd probably be Rebecca, because Rebecca is just an insane card. It just does too much for like its cost. You get to get a thing back, you get to play a guy out, it's a blocker. It's got counter. It's just way too good. It reads like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, honestly, and it's just so good. But it's getting an alt art in the PRB2, so I don't think it's getting hit. So that's that. Those would be my predictions for the ban list. Maybe they hit Tempest Kick. I don't think they would. But yeah, I don't think. Oh, guess I gotta talk about if Hody is getting hit or like Ashura. I don't think Hody is that big of a problem. It's like green's best card in my opinion, and it also, you can play around it technically, so it's like a nice thing there. The only deck that I think Hody is very oppressive on is Bonnie, because Bonnie can like wall up really effectively with the kid, and if you can't clear the kid, then they can just decide to kill you in just like playing out a Hody and just going in on you, and you can just die out of nowhere if you can't clear the kid for like 1 or 2 turns. But I think like Hody and other decks are just not that big of a deal. It is a very good card, but I don't think it's ban worthy, in my opinion. Ashura is a searchable Hody in most decks, and it can be used as counter, but it doesn't give you a rusher, an extra swing on top of it, which I think is the broken part. Like the most strong part about Hody is that it gives you another swing, which is insane. And the taking a life in some situations is just like not a downside. So I think that's why it's so insane. But I don't think they would hit it. I hope they don't. I think it's a very fun card, and is like not too oppressive to be hitting. Lastly, I think I'll just talk about just my opinions on OP-11 as a whole. I think it was a pretty diverse format in my opinion, even though there's like a definite big 3. It's good that it wasn't like a tier 0 format, though I think some people do think it is. I don't think it was a tier 0 format. I think it had a lot of diversity in high level or in big events, and even like in a local level. I feel like any deck, you could play any deck at locals for sure. It's like locals, you know. And even if people are all trying to win, like at my locals, there's kind of a lot of UP. It's like always like 4 UP at least at our locals, and most of the time they're not even in the top 3, which I think is pretty cool because people can win with like a ton of random decks. Like people are playing King, people are playing Marco, playing it now, Buggy, Bonnie, Blackbeard, all these other decks. I think it's awesome. So I enjoyed OP-11 a lot, but I also am very excited for OP-12. There's a lot of new tools that come out in 12 that I think make the format more exciting. But yeah, thanks for listening to my Yap Sesh. If you want to talk about other stuff, hit me up in the comments or something. Alright, see y'all.